You are most likely watching this video from home isolation or in quarantine. The situation is dire, and people have had to change their lifestyles to adapt to this pandemic situation. The mishaps caused by coronavirus is just one side of the coin. The aftermath of this pandemic is the economic recession that slowed down the growth of almost every nation. IMF has already declared that we have entered a recession as bad as or worse than in 2009. To get the economy up and running during a pandemic, the government should explore options to partially lock down the economy rather than a complete lockdown, and at the same time contain the spread of the virus. Our fate pretty much depends on this graph, which represents the spread of COVID-19. With protective measures, we can flatten this curve. Here, the number of deaths would be less, but we may be forced to stay in isolation for a longer period of time. To suppress the curve, what we need is a drug that can cure COVID-19. Phases from discovering a potential drug to mass distribution, we are looking at a delay of several months until the drug reaches the global market. Until then, the options we have to contain the disease and recover the economy is via social distancing and enabling a health card-based access system for citizens. Social distancing, however, comes at a cost of the economy's slowdown. Social distancing is only needed between affected people and unaffected people. Between unaffected people, social distancing is not required to flatten the curve. By tracking GPS location data from the smartphones of potentially affected people who are under isolation, we can know if the person goes out from their house or isolation area. Alerts can be sent to local authorities to intervene and isolate the affected people from the others. Doing so, we can ensure that social distancing is maintained between affected people and unaffected people. Rather than a complete lockdown that could tremble the economy, governments can enforce partial lockdowns if they have an effective mechanism to track the spread of disease and its direction. Governments can issue health cards to citizens to represent their risk level. At places like banks, shopping malls, workplaces, etc., the entry can be allowed only to people with no-risk health cards. But how to do it? Governments need to analyze the potential COVID-19 exposure of each citizen and issue health cards based on that. It sounds hard, but it's not impossible. Relying on cellular location data, Bluetooth vicinity data, and GPS data of a person's smartphone, it is possible to track their exposure level. For example, a person is more likely to get affected by COVID-19 if they visit a hot zone, which is a place where many COVID cases are reported, or if they've come close to contact with a patient. Knowledge about one's exposure to corona risks can help citizens to take necessary steps to self-quarantine and thereby break the chain of transmission. Currently, healthcare officials do manual investigations of patients to identify the places they visited, route map, primary and secondary contacts, etc. To effectively contain the disease, all these processes should happen in a matter of minutes. This too is possible by relying on cellular location data, Bluetooth data, and data available from GPS of a person's smartphone. Data obtained from the exposure analysis can be used in defining the health card status of a citizen. By collating all this information, it is possible to set up a health card-based access system for citizens. Strategically deploying social distancing and health card-based access, governments stand a chance to bring the economy up and running during a pandemic. We are on a mission to put an end to this crisis, to do what we can to bring back normalcy, to bring families and friends back together, to let those grandparents kiss their grandchildren again, to rebuild the chain broken by COVID-19.